To talk about fish, and I figured I'd volunteer and just do it because, I mean, filleting fish isn't really that difficult. There's different levels of expertise. I mean, I do it professionally when I have to. The kitchen I work in isn't equipped to fillet fish in like some I've been in. Generally, you need a whole area with a wash down hose, and the kitchen I'm in is probably a little bigger than this table. So I don't fillet a lot of fish. I have in the past, but once, like riding a bicycle, okay? Way I was taught, well, first of all, start out with a knife, all right, the basics. Okay, I've had this knife for about 10 years. It's a Cutco. Reason I like it, the blade comes out, okay? You can adjust it. You're doing a smaller fish, or maybe you're doing a larger fluke and you want a little flexibility, okay? You want to stretch your blade out a little more. All right, a fish like this, probably keep the blade somewhere around that area. It's flexible. And number one, you're not going to be able to do anything with any knife unless it's sharp. Okay? This thing here, I would never put my kitchen knives on because they're just not good. So what I do is I maintain the knife with a stone. Alright? You don't need to do it a lot. The key is to sharpen the knife constantly. So if you use the knife, maybe 1 or 2 outings, if you catch some fish, you fillet, hit it on that stone for no more than a couple minutes. You take it on this. That keeps your edge. So if you filleted, you were lucky enough to fillet 10, 15 fish, whatever, do that every once in a while, you're going to keep your edge. But without this razor sharp, you're going to ruin a beautiful fish. Okay? Now, as far as what you do with your fish, you want to get them home, you know you're going to keep it. Okay? If you're going to be fishing on a beach all night for 6 hours and it's sort of cool out and everything, you know, we all have our different ways. Some people leash them, some people go put them up under something, whatever. I'm not going to get into that. You do what you do with your fish. Because I got a big white styrofoam cooler I got from a fish purveyor, which I think is 40-something odd inches long. I usually don't buy the ice till later because I had it melt too many times when I don't catch fish. But you get them in the cooler, you throw your ice on, you're good to go. All right? If you want, I mean, you can gut them. You know, if you know maybe you're going to be fishing for a couple days and you have the fish are going to be in ice, definitely gut them. I don't gut them. You know what, actually, I don't gut them because I rarely bring fish home unless it's something I want to show my wife or something. So I usually just fillet it. I don't even go into the belly unless I want to see what they're eating. Like when I fillet this fish tonight, I'm not going to go in and I'm not going to rip the stomach open. It should pretty much all stay with the fish. So without further ado, right here, we all know dorsal fin. This is key to know. This line right here, that's the line you're going to follow. All right? You're going to make a cut. All right? See where the gill plate is here, where it ends? You don't want to waste any meat, so you want to make a cut up in the top. Okay? And you got to get through the scales and everything. These first cuts are going to line everything up for you. Okay? Now, another thing to note is you never want to do stuff on plastic like this, but we want to make as little mess as possible. It's a little dangerous. The fish is slippery. So normally, I mean, you're doing this on a big, nice wood cutting board, but when I go fishing, I always have plastic bags with me, and there's always a place to fillet a fish, and I just knock it out and do it because I don't want to bring this stuff home. All right, so you make your first cut there. Now, when you fillet or you're cutting meat, whether it's chicken, cow, beef, whatever, you want to get the meat away from the bones with as little waste as possible. That's the goal. So when you make this cut, you can hear that, right? It's natural. There's bone there. All right, then I always make a cut in the tail, right behind the caudal, which is this little area right in there. Okay, there you got your 2 cuts. Now you want to follow this dorsal fin line down, okay? Without cutting too far in. You can go through into the other side of the fish. If you do, don't worry about it. The more you fillet, the better you're going to get. But this method here is good for somebody who doesn't fillet a lot and they just want to work on their technique. A lot of guys, I call it party boat technique. They take a fish like this, they take a sharp knife and they go boom right down. I can't do that. I screw up and waste meat. And in my business, you waste meat, you're throwing money in the garbage. So this technique seems to work better for me. All right, I'm just going right down this fin, right down that line. You can hear the knife. If you're not hitting bone, all right, you're probably not doing it right, or you went through the fillet, which happens. Okay, now there's your first cut. Now basically what you do is you angle your knife and come down. Now you're going to hit the back, the center bone right there. Alright? When you get up to the top here, it can get tricky. Alright, so you got to just take the knife and let the knife do what it's got to do. Follow that bone up. Come down and out. Basically what you're doing is using your eyes and the knife at the same time. And you also got to probably screw up a few fish before you get one that you're really proud of. And you can see how this fish is running away from me on the plastic. I'm also trying to let you guys see what I'm doing. But normally you work like this. You don't turn the fish. You work with it right in front of your eyes. Come down. Now when you get up around the belly bones, it gets tricky. Just try to take the fish, get a grip on it. Come up around the stomach. This area here, there's meat there, but it's not the best meat of the fish. It just surrounds the stomach cavity. So there's sinew and there's some very fine bones that run in there too. I don't waste my time with it. Alright, so you're coming down the head now, where you made your first cut. Coming down the backbone. Alright, not bad. You got a little bit right here, but see these bones? This is what's protecting the organs and the belly. These come out. This is all flat, and these come out like this. So it gets a little more difficult there. Whole fish, so, take the back of your knife, and you run the opposite way of the scales. But if we did that, we'd ruin this area, and they probably wouldn't be too happy. Okay, so.
Is it necessary to scale?
Only if you're gonna eat the foot. Only if you're gonna eat the skin, and skin on striper is pretty good. If you crisp it up in a pan, it's excellent. Bluefish, you probably wouldn't eat the skin, but striped bass, absolutely you could. All right, so now, next thing to do, if you do want the skin, then you definitely have to scale it. Here's where the newspaper comes in. Okay. Now this can be a little tricky. You got to get a grasp on the fish here. You want to skin it. You got to run the knife up the fillet. It helps to trim the fillet too. Okay. What you're doing now is at the angle I'm going is almost perpendicular to the table. Just enough where I'm not. You definitely don't want to go this way. You don't want to go this way, or you'll go right through the fillet. But you're following that skin down. This is actually pulling. You're putting pressure, and then as you get up on the fish, you can grab the fillet and come down. You got the beginnings of a bikini top. Now there's your skin. All right. No waste. Boom. Now. That red meat on there, I'm sure you guys know it's where the fish gets its power from. That's a lot of oxygenated meat. I cut that off. That's just personal preference.